Hello, hello. Let's see. It looks like the stream is starting. All right. Hello, everybody. If any of you are live, hello. I know most of my videos are picked up by my followers later in the day, but it's time to look at the markets, time to see what's going on, time to give my opinion on some of the questions that you guys emailed me about or messaged me about on Facebook. And one of the most popular ones was Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin doing? Where is it going to go? Where do I think it's going to go? Now, I don't give financial advice, but I do talk to myself about how I do these trades. Anyone familiar with my videos? And if you had logged in or had you watched my last video, you've seen that I had basically sold all my Bitcoin, all my altcoins into USDT, which was Tether. And the reason I did that, let's see, not 1 hour. Let's see, 1 hour is what we're looking for. This is Bitcoin to Tether. All right, we're still definitely on a downtrend. We're at the upper part of this downtrend, meaning if we could break this here, if you could imagine a line, okay, and I know a lot of what I say, I'm talking to a lot of real newbies. So if I start talking about Fibonacci or trades or studies or stuff like that, I'm going to try and explain them. What I'm putting up here is called simple moving average. We go to studies here. If you're on Bittrex, go to moving average. We did one at 50. That's the period. And we're going to do another one at twice as much, at 100. And what this is going to do is give us some trend lines. Although we should have went in a different color. Let's redo that in a different color. So 100. And this is just a very simple indicator that I'm setting up here. And the reason I use these is because these simple indicators are a lot of times what we go towards when we're programming a trading bot. Because you have to be able to mathematically tell the program what to do. And something we can do mathematically is the program could tell whether the red line is above or the blue line is below. So if we look at this, when the red line was above, right here would have marked a buy. And then over here, when it crossed, right here would have marked a sell if I was following these trends. And right now, we're still clearly trending down in Bitcoin. So at this moment, I am not invested in Bitcoin. I'm on the other side of the trade, right? They don't offer short selling on some of these markets, and trust me, never, ever short sell Bitcoin. Trust me. Don't do it. But this is clearly a downtrend. Still, I would not be buying Bitcoin. As you can see, it's barely touching. What we want to see it break this red line and possibly the blue. So right there gives us, which is exactly the trend spot I was trying to point out earlier, saying, look, we want to break these two peaks. Well, look at this line right here is telling us the perfect spot. So if we get this, then you'll see me switch back into Bitcoin. But I don't quite think that's going to happen, because overall we've been looking at a bigger downtrend. Let's zoom in a little bit. And then this whole action right here. Okay, if anyone was watching Trey, Bitcoin Trey, I was watching him a little while ago. Boom. They're asking if I was live. Yeah. Funny. This guy, he ends his videos and then we sit and talk about crypto, and I swear some of the best conversations are after his video's over, because most of the people that are there for his free coin, which he does once in a moon, hand out some free coin. If you're not following him, you should be. I wouldn't advise doing everything that he says or everything that's on the channel. But, and it looks like very few people have found this. I have not, you know, when I get online, sometimes, a lot of times, it's spur of the moment. I don't go out and send too much. I did post a tweet saying that it was going to be there. Here I am on Twitter. But like I said, most of my people, because I offer classes, are they come to me after the fact with questions. Okay, so our indicators that we had earlier on this are still showing an uptrend, but this, you know, right here, the reason I pointed to that, they'll always point this as being a bull flag. And this is, in my opinion, this is not a bull flag at all. This is what you'd call an arrowhead, or I would call an arrowhead, where basically you can go right in the middle, and Bitcoin is going to oscillate back and forth, all the way to a little point before it decides what it's really going to do. If it was a bull flag, we'd have a downward trend here. It would not be as steep. It would only go to about here, and our support would be tight with it. So we would see a squiggle going down in a tight formation. So that's, to me, that's not a bull flag. But like I said, I'm not a financial advisor. I do not know. So that is why I am out of the Bitcoin market. A few days ago at, I think, 14.5, I sold all my coin for USDT. And then yesterday I jumped into ADA again. Or it might have even been earlier this morning. I think I was in there at like 70 some cents. And the reason I jumped into that, so why on earth would I jump into ADA after I just decided to dump? Look, there's someone else watching. Hey, Cryptomania, you followed me. Hey, it's good to have you here. At least over here, if people ask questions, I try to talk about it. At the moment, I'm talking about why I bought ADA. And to see that, would have to go. There's a few people. Hey, see? Thank you, Cryptomania. Trying to send someone else over. There's a few people that I like to listen to, and right here is one of them. Some of the deep learning projects that I play around with, this is who I follow. And this is a guy, he's out of Amsterdam. But he's one of the smarter people. We've put an invitation out for him to become part of the project. We're working on a new coin called the Fabled coin. And it's a very different coin. It's not the type of coin that you would trade. It's the type of coin that you would hide away and refuse to tell people that it is happening. So this guy, he's talking about how Carnito works, or ADA, And basically, he goes into the whole history. Let me mute this out. Of how basically we had Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is very limited, okay? There's not a very strong programming language associated with the wallet that they released. There's a little bit of stuff that you can do as far as programming, but you can't loop anything, which is very significant, and you can't anyway, so there was Bitcoin, and next came basically the Ether or Ethereum, which was, as a lot of people say, it gives Java script to Bitcoin. It basically gives a programming language where people can sit down. If you see me looking this way, it's because I have my chat over here on a second screen, and I can see stuff popping up over there. So this guy, we're not going to like watch his video, and this is definitely not the video I had just clicked on. But how does Carnito work? And he basically goes into, he's predicting this as the number 3 coin. Okay, there was Bitcoin, then there was Ethereum, and now there's Cardano or ADA. And so I didn't buy much. I bought $400 worth yesterday because I want to, I remember when Bitcoin was $1. I remember when it was $0.25. I remember people jumping out of Bitcoin at $0.25 and laughing at everybody. Laughing. Because they sold shamelessly at $0.25. And I remember Ethereum being beat down, way down, below $1. So I know that ADA definitely has room to grow. It doesn't have as much room to grow as Bitcoin or Ether, as I call it. And that's because of the market caps. Bitcoin's got about 20 million. Ether's got about 96. I think that's total flowing. And then look at over here. We're at a way huge jump from ADA. So we're not going to see a huge increase to $10,000 like Bitcoin has done magically. But there's definitely some room to grow. It's at 45 billion. Let's move that up a little bit. And this is roughly comparable to Ripple. I think Ripple's about half that much. And as you can see, Ripple really doesn't, it can't move as fast as Bitcoin can. That's one of the things that I never really liked about coins that released billions of coins. The coin I'm working on is going to have like 1 to 2 million max, and the system actually dusts coins automatically after a trick. We're still in the research phase, and we haven't, the website's made, but it's not live, so I can't really show you that project. So Ripple, I guess they are, man, there's more Ripple than ADA. Maybe I had the two backwards. Yeah, there's about 100 million Ripple, which these guys are dusting too, but at a very shameless rate. And I don't know, almost like a tax, or every time there's a Ripple transaction, a little bit of Ripple gets dusted. And if you don't know what dusted is, you might hear people talk about it. Dusting is when you send coin to an address that nobody knows the private key, or the private key is impossible, or it's simply locked. An example would be the original block on Bitcoin. The way the program was coded, they made it impossible to ever spend money out of the first block. So now it's like a shrine that people pay homage to. And they're just dusting coins. So let's see. I don't know. Let's get into some questions. If anyone has any questions about what's going on, the markets in general. I do a lot of newbie classes, so a lot of my questions that I get, if you look at my videos, you're going to see that a lot of my questions go to the very, very basics, like mining Bitcoin. You know, for an absolute newbie, how do you start mining Bitcoin within 5 minutes type of thing? Or crypto coin mining. Or a lot of people ask how transactions are sent. What is my take on kin? Let's take a look at it. The problem with Bitcoins is there's so many of them out there that it's hard to watch them all. Okay, so kin I haven't heard of, but just from the looks of it, it's feeling like a strong hands type of coin, or like a cent coin. I don't know if anyone remembers cent coin. Crispy took me for billions and billions and billions of cent coins, maybe even trillions of cent coins. So I don't know much about this coin. I could tell you from this trend, it's definitely trending down. This looks like a classic pump and dump. Maybe not so much classic, because this has come down slowly. But when you're seeing pump and dumps, usually what happens is you'll see the line, it'll start trending down, and then it'll just hit a floor. And this is where they're secretly buying all their coins for their dump, their future dump. Now, I can't call this a pump and dump because I don't know much about the coin. One thing that Trevon brought up earlier that is really important is, does it do something new? Okay? Because there's no duration. I would have to go through and read the white paper. A lot of times the white papers are complicated to read and full of many times useless information. And usually when I read white papers, I like to jump ahead to, I mean, I could tell you that they're well funded. You do not get a white paper out that even looks, the first beginning 3 pages of this don't happen without good funding. I don't know why they're going into 28 pages of description. I think the original white paper for Bitcoin was 7 pages. So I would have to look into it more. So what do we do if, let's see, got pumped for sure. Yeah, definitely got pumped. What do we do if we don't have time to read into a white paper? What do I do? But maybe I still want to invest. So look at the price. Okay, ridiculously cheap for Satoshi. All right, let's see what a good indicator is, what markets are carrying it. Okay, Trade Satoshi carries everything, and they don't even have it. Cross IDEX, and I don't have an account at any of these exchanges, which would be a little concerning. Makes me wish my project was up and running at the moment, because it would solve this problem. You could just tell the genie, and the genie would find it for you. But, so how old is it? And there's no announcement. Usually you jump on here, there's going to be an announcement slot. And this is important. You want to know, how was the coin announced? How did it start off? I do before I invest in it. And most of these coins, look at any big coin. Let's go to market cap. Any big coin. You say Ripple. Ripple's a big coin. Ether's a big coin. There's going to be an announcement. And you know where they announced? The same place all the real coins announced. And God, I don't see an announcement there. What kind of shit is that? So usually there's a link to a site called Bitcoin Talk. Okay, let's just jump over there and see what they're up to. BitcoinTalk.org. And this is a site everyone that's getting into Bitcoin had to be familiar with in the beginning. Back in 2013, it didn't. This is where the pizza was sold. Okay, 10,000 Bitcoins, one pizza. I think the guy was in Florida. Because I actually remember that. I didn't have Bitcoin at the time. But I remember shortly after it happened and thinking how I could get him a pizza down there. I think it was Ken. Someone's saying it was number 47 when they noticed it, and then it had fell. As far as the crypto market cap, or the coin market cap, yeah, they're going to fall. And so what we should be seeing is an ANN and then KIN over here, which is an attention and then a KIN. And this is kind of like a peer review site, if you may, where the people that have been in Bitcoin the longest get to give their thoughts on what's going on. And there's a lot of newbies here and a lot of bashing and a lot of scamming and everything else that's associated with Bitcoin. So they said you've seen it at 47, and then it fell. Okay. This is important. And here's a good example right here. SmartCoin. Okay. It's had a great jump here. And coin market cap can be a driving force for coins based on these rankings, these arbitrary rankings that mean nothing other than perceived value for that day. Okay. But when people are programming stuff, they like sites like this because it gives them a number they could associate with as to where this coin is ranked or how much its total value is. And there's other sites, God, I forget the name of it, but they're, I seen Bitcoin Trade talking about it a few weeks ago. And like, I couldn't believe it because he found the site and like an hour later, he just gave it control of his Bittrex account. You'd be surprised how many people will just hand over control of all their coins on something that they just found out for the first time, like that day, and boom, they're all in. So what I was getting to, the site he was talking about, what it did was it held people in the top 10 currencies, the top 20 currencies, the top 50 currencies, or your own. And when you program a bot like that, you get these things where there's these breaking points where a lot of people are programmed into the top 50, and then something down here will sneak its way up momentarily, and it'll end up having the system sell these ones off. So I always look for those points right around the 50 here. I'm looking at these guys might go up and these ones might go down, no matter what coin is there. Okay, because if it's a good coin or a bad coin, in my opinion, its placement on this chart means nothing. Nothing. And let me tell you why. I used to bash Ripple. Forever I bashed Ripple. I hated Ripple. Okay? I had a lot of them because back in the day, Crispy, which was the trading site of its time, the biggest site until the owner ran off with the coins. Thank you, Big Vern. Thank you for that. Anyway, they had different markets. There was a Litecoin market, a Bitcoin market, and a XRP market, I believe. It was a Ripple market. And it was considered a junk coin. And I had, God, like a million of them, maybe more when he took off. But what I didn't like about it, the whole point of bringing this one up, was this star right here. Some people come here and they're new, and they're like, what does this little star have? Look, ADA is the same way. And I just invested in that. But that damn star, there it is again, that damn star. Well, when Ripple first came out, like day one, it instantly jumped to like number 3 on the market cap. Not because everyone was into it and it was huge, but because this star means the coins aren't mineable. Meaning they don't slowly build up over time. Just all this Ripple just existed all at once, and they divided it amongst the founders. And a lot of these coins do that. I think there was a coin offering for it. But the point is, if the star is here, then that's not really the market cap. Or it's a theoretical market cap. Because it's the average price times the number of coins. And you could have a coin that just launched and there's only a few 100,000 of these coins out there. And it has a very low market cap. So it's not even on these pages. It is, you would sort it by circulating supply. And you don't want the top. Oh my God, was Ken just on top of circulating supply? That is not a good sign. I need to look into that more. Something tells me it has a staking value and that it's really high. Like you could just leave your coins in the wallet for a day or two. And they double. Which will be a huge selling force. I like coins with low supply. Here you go. I have not, and like I said, if you look, there's 1,400 coins, and a lot of these coins come out all the time. I am not familiar with all of them. But if people ask about a coin, I will go into it and talk about it, and at least give my opinion to myself. Look at the math. Let's see, they represent. Well, something tells me you looked at the math. I'm responding to a chat from Cryptomania, and he's saying check out. I believe he's still talking about Kin. And the problem that I seen with it was I didn't have a place to go buy it. I don't know if they're burning coins. I'll take a deeper look into it when I'm not live streaming, because it is possible to start out with a lot of coins. And if the supply shrinks instead of gaining, then you're good. But if the supply stays the same at 10 trillion coins, then you need a $10 trillion market cap to beat that up to $1. Although, you know, at this price, even if it got to a penny, you'd be sitting good. But my biggest, when I looked at it, because I normally have accounts on most trading sites. And I don't even recognize these trading sites. It's not promoting it. It's just getting pumped hard. It isn't working lately. So the pumps have been happening for a long freaking time. And I was trying, when Bitcoin Trey was live earlier, I was trying to let him know. I don't know if he's part of it or if people just realized they could use it to take advantage. But his videos are basically a pump and dump. And I don't even think he realizes it. Because people will come, if you go into his video, okay, let's say you got a team of 10 people, which if you're pump and dumping, you need a team. And everybody jumps on his chat and starts blah, 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 pumping one coin until he mentions it. Well, just the act of him mentioning it is going to get a spike, especially if the air is thin. And let me tell you, and if you want to know if something's being pumped, just go onto Twitter and join all the pump groups, pump and dump groups. And if they're tweeting about it, if they're saying this to the moon, it's a pump and dump. And you can make money off pump and dumps. You can't be the one person holding the bag praying for it to come back up. And this, of course, this is only me talking to myself. But what I was going to point out over here is the thickness of the air. If we look at Dogecoin, I always call it doggy coin. You know, it's funny. I remember when this was made, and it was made as a joke, right? It was a joke. And it's at some of the highest rates it has ever been. But if you go down and look at these walls that it's got, I mean, I picked this one because it has huge walls. I mean, if we wanted to move this coin down from 90 to 86, we would need $1 million on this one exchange alone. And if we need it, because it's roughly, this is more about the $1 million range here. If we wanted to pump it up, it's the same problem. We'd need $1 million movement just to get it to there. So a lot of times what these pump and dumpers will do is they'll pick a coin with thin walls. A coin you want to know one that's been planned for a pump and dump. I've been trying to post it to Trey, not to pump and dump it, but because I already know what they're doing, and I already know they have it set up. And it's a good coin to illustrate this issue. Gridcoin. I actually like Gridcoin. And let me tell you why. Gridcoin has a very unique algorithm in that you get your coin reward not based on luck, but on work that you've donated to the SETI project or to gene mapping, or they have all these projects where they have these tons of data I don't know if anyone's familiar. Recently we pointed most of our radio telescopes right towards the center of the Milky Way, and we wanted to get a picture of this black hole that's there. And we got all this data, and the problem is when you try to fine-tune telescopes to be that pinpoint accurate at such a distance, there's so much data that has to be processed that it could take years. It could take a week to gather it, but years to process it. And so this coin rewards people that have done that. And look at this. Okay, this is a steady upward trend. Most pump and dumps, you'll see the flagpole, right? The huge rise. Let's go into a larger chart of this. That's a 1-day chart. Let's go 3-day chart and zoom out a little bit so you could see. This is why I would pick a coin like this. Okay, so here's the rise of something, and you see these markers where I got my little dotted line going across the bottom here, right there. You could see where it marked the beginning of the pump and dumps, because the pump and dumps is very simple. They find a coin that's like this, flat, that's beat to shit, that nobody likes, and they know it's valued at almost nothing. And they start acquiring it here until it shrinks. These are the big pump and dumpers, the Russians that make a lot of money. And then this is where the ad promotion comes. And then this is where they all sell out. They were selling the whole way. All these walls you had to get past were there. They bought here and put little wall here, little wall there, little wall there. And when they're pumping it, they let you get past the wall, which is their buy. And then they buy it up to their wall again. And then they let you get past that wall. And then they buy it up to their next wall again, because it's cheap in between their little walls. Anyway, then it dwindled down to nothing. Almost. Then it got pumped. Boom. If you ever see a spike like this, that's a pump. There's no coin that jumps up like this and then just continues on upward like that. Or at least not one that I've seen. And then this, why does it take so long to get beat down? Because everyone is holding out. They want to believe that it's returning, which it does, right? But right here, yeah, rent was due, gas bill was due, you needed to pay tuition. Over here, you just decided to invest in something else, right? And then blam. So this one's at the beginning. That's why I like Gridcoin. I won't go too deep into that because I'm not trying to say buy it. But I was trying to say this is how I spot these pump and dumps. And I know this because I went on the inside of these to witness what is happening. And everyone will meet up in a Discord chat room. And they'll act like it's random. Like it could be any one of 5 coins that they're going to pump that day. But the truth is they've been collecting those 5 coins, those 20 coins forever as they were flatlined. So let's talk about maybe some of the bigger coins. And this is a lot of green today that I'm seeing. Another indicator that I like to use is market sentiment. Is you just click on that right there. This is going to show us the top gainers and the top losers. And what you notice, or what I notice right off the bat, is the losers are losing, but they ain't losing that much. And the winners are gaining in some good digits. This tells me that people are feeling optimistic about the altcoins, which is usually a sign that they're feeling optimistic about Bitcoin. People buy into Bitcoin, and then they don't know what to do with their Bitcoin because it's not a fabled coin, right? It's not, you can't use it to play with or prove your skill. The only thing you could really do is come play this game, the exchange. And so they do, right? If they think Bitcoin's rising, they buy into Bitcoin. And since they have the Bitcoin, they'll go and dump that into an altcoin so they can get a double rise. And then when they think Bitcoin's going to jump back down, they'll sell the altcoin and then get out of Bitcoin back into Tether. Because Tether is the only safe place where if you put $1 million in Tether and you don't check it for 5 years, guess what? You're still only going to have $1 million in there. It's not going to lose. It's not going to gain. It's just, that's why I call it the safe place. And they get out while it's trending down. Now, there's something else to consider about that. They don't always jump out of, sometimes you'll see altcoins shooting through the roof when everything else is dumping and Bitcoin's failing. Or sometimes you'll see altcoins rising that have no reason to be. Look here, this has a very low volume and it's rising. And the reason is somehow that coin was holding value and Bitcoin started dropping. So in order to keep its same USD value, it actually becomes more valuable in Bitcoin because Bitcoin becomes less valuable. So whenever I'm making a trade, I try and look at those predictive forces of what was causing it. And a lot of uptrends like this is just a general good market sentiment. Another thing I like to do is see how many pages deep does the uptrends go. Look, we're at 4, 5 pages, 6 pages, all uptrending. So basically, no matter what you get in, you might make a little bit. One thing that really helped me when I started out, this was in Forex before Bitcoin existed. And I only did this mostly for fun. Okay, I'm not like a professional trader. I spend most of my days working on programming and technical stuff. But what I was getting to, if you're going to buy something, why not buy something that's trending up, right? If you're going to sell something, why not sell something that's trending down, okay? You know in your portfolio what's trending down. You've been looking at it for days saying, God, it's still freaking dropping. Is it going to come back? You're like asking everybody, is this going to come back? If you're going to sell something, that's the one, okay? And you're looking at these other coins too, and you're saying, man, that coin costs a little bit more than it did an hour ago when I was thinking about buying it, right? And you notice it's trending up. Then that might as well be the one that you buy. And these trends are, a trend can go for, here, this is, I know only a couple people are watching now, and I know that. But a lot of these, my team members come on. And it's important that you know some of this stuff. If you're going to start trading and you think you're going to use Fibonacci and all these different studies and all this stuff, you know what I mean? This is clearly a downtrend, right? That's why I sold Bitcoin the other day, right here. If you look at my video, it had broken the downtrend when it popped up here, but I didn't believe it, so I sold. And it could very well get back up there. Right now it seems to be fighting to even get to 14. But something you got to understand about these trends. Bitcoins might not be the best one to illustrate it with because it had such a huge jump in the past few months. But these trends are present in any period. Okay? What that means is if you look at a 1-minute chart, you could see these same trends. If you look at a 5-minute chart, you could see these same trends. If you look at a 10-minute chart, you can see these same trends. If you look at an 18-second chart, you can see these same trends. And a lot of times you'll be looking at a trend and the 5-minute trend or the 10-minute trend will be showing that this is a good buy. You need to get it. And then you zoom out a little bit and you see that, right? Because if we were looking at a 1-minute trend, we would have said, oh, this thing's on the rise. Right? We look at a 3-day trend, definitely rising. We look at a 1-hour trend, definitely falling, right? It's like, which one does it follow? Is it following the 1-hour trend, or is it following the 1-day trend or the 1-minute trend? It's following all of them, all at the same time. They will all be held true, okay? And Bitcoin might not be the best example because Bitcoin is driven more by awareness and how many people are actually take part in the coin, because it gets supply and demand is driving up the price. But if you look at some of these other coins, like Litecoin is a great one. Litecoin has been bouncing around this same Bitcoin price ever since Litecoin came out. This trend that it's on, when it broke 100 and went up and got all high, all it did was revisit old highs. It was just responding to an old map, to an old trend line. And these trend lines, if you're drawing them, I've seen times where I'll draw a line on a trend and then it'll break away. Let's see. Litecoin's been around forever. We might need to do a week chart. But yeah, look, it's just bouncing back and forth. And it's just going to keep doing that over and over and over and over and over again. Ooh, I wasn't watching the time. My wife just asked me if I was watching the time, and I have to go. Damn it. I have to go. Okay, so I'll do a minute or two more and I'll take off. So I am going to have to end this feed. I would love to just keep them going. It's not like a bunch of people are watching right now. But if you are watching, thank you for being on when I'm live. Subscribe. I usually just keep on talking. So you see this huge spike at the beginning and then it drops. A lot of people ask, why'd that happen? It's because that's right when they open this market. When Bittrex opened the market, and the very first people that put coin for sale put it ridiculously high and probably bought by themselves in the prayer that people would trade it that high, but it quickly fell. But you could clearly see everything that Litecoin has done is the same thing it did in the past. If you follow the dotted line back, it's hit this high before, right? It's hit this low before. It's just bouncing back and forth. And it's just following those same Fibonacci. Some people ask, what is Fibonacci? It's you, okay? Fibonacci is human instinct. That's all it is if you get a group of 1 million people and there's a red apple and a green apple and they don't know which one they want, and people start picking randomly, Well, they're going to second guess themselves in a pattern that follows the Fibonacci pattern. Fibonacci is really a number sequence, if you were to look that up. But what they call a Fibonacci pattern, when there's a peak, and then they'll come out with the tool and they'll draw the lines, and it'll go up and show you the 3 different supports, which are referring to standard deviation. You've got 1 and 2 standard deviations from the norm, which is a statistics thing. But surprisingly, I don't know if it has a Fibonacci study. I'm sure that it does on here. I hardly ever use it because it's misleading. You don't ever know whether you should be posting it upside down or right side up. And when you think that you had the top tier, so basically Fibonacci, they'd go right here and they'd click the mouse and drag it up to here and let go, and it would leave you these 3 lines, blam, blam, blam. And you would see that this was one of the lines, that was another one of the lines, right? And right here, we're in the middle of the, and this just is caused by people that second guess themselves, or bills that need to be paid, or whatever human instinct you might say. Okay, I'm going to have to cut this live feed off, but remember to subscribe. And if you watch this at a different date, and you have questions, anything I said, leave a comment at the bottom, and because I try and answer and at least read all my comments. All right.